It's a new year and we are at Volition RX. Joining me is Cameron Reynolds, the CEO, who's here to talk to me about the acquisition of Octamer. It was announced at the end of 2019, but you've got more details about the closing of the deal and also about the funding.
Yes, Nick, we announced a non-binding term sheet at the end of last year. It's a very exciting purchase for us. Octamer is one of the very few groups we've found that can make recombinant nucleosomes. We've talked about that a lot as a calibrant, so that we can bring in-house those skills to make them, which also has potential sales usage. We think the open chromatin, the nucleosomes, are extremely important in a lot of areas, so we're really building ourselves in this space. And today we can very happily announce that it was funded by a non-dilutive funding from the Walloon region, yet again. So there was about $350,000 in cash in the deal, and we just got a non-dilutive loan for $550,000, an unsecured loan. So yet again, we've done something very good, very low cost, and in a way which is non-dilutive, and that brings to over $7 million now from the region. So extremely helpful. It brings Dr. Schomburg on board, and a really good outcome for Volition.
This is Dr. Adrian Schomburg. He comes with the company and a very highly respected and very knowledgeable person in the space that you're operating in.
Yes, with this space of epigenetics, there aren't very many people who know the space we're in, so we're really trying to build the biggest team so we can get the very best results and really dominate the space. And I think that gives us very strong momentum into 2020. I think we've got a real spring in our step. It's really picking up now. We are very well funded through the Walloon region, but also we've been very well funded through our own capital raisings. We had just under $20 million on the account last filing, so that's very, very impressive. And we're using that to fully develop the platform.
So as you say, you've really hit the ground running in 2020. Just talk me through, as we prepare for Healthcare Week in San Francisco, JP Morgan, what we're likely to see as milestones in this year.
Well, we're going to make very strong progress, we think, in all of our main categories. So intellectual property, Dr. McAuliffe has been filing for us a huge amount of intellectual property, which really means what we thought 9 years ago when we founded the company was that the nucleosomes and the epigenetics was very important, and that's absolutely been the case, if not a lot more than we could have even dreamed of how important it is, and we're really at the center of it. So that's the intellectual property, but there's no point having all the intellectual property if you don't have tests which are reproducible, low cost, one drop of blood, all the things we've said. So we've spent a lot of time in the last 2 years making sure the platform was as good as it can be, and we have a very strong update on that early next week, which will update exactly where we are at the platform, so keep an eye out for that. And we have other very key areas, as we've talked about before, not just the assay development themselves. We've also made very strong progress on Nu-Q capture, which we'll have a lot of news from this quarter. We can now definitely concentrate nucleosomes long and short from the tumour. We'll quantify that in the coming months and coming weeks. We've also made very strong progress this last year and expect to continue in the vet space. We announced this last year the deal with Texas A&M, a very, very good world-class vet school, to really help us launch our veterinary products. And of course, we've greatly broadened our collaborators. We looked at NTU and doing lung and colorectal work, our first work in China in lung colorectal. And all of this was on top of the very good data we released on our old plate format in lung, in colorectal, and now very excitingly also in the blood cancers. So huge progress on all of our fronts. I think 2020 is really going to be a very special year for us.
Thanks for that very comprehensive guide to 2019 and looking ahead to 2020. You're going to be very busy in San Francisco, JP Morgan Health Week, meeting lots of clients. And as we said, there'll be a bit more news coming out about your assays.
Yes, there'll be the news on the assays, and I think 2020 will be a fantastic year. All the things have come through with our new lab space, the development, the process, the intellectual property. It's going to be an incredibly exciting year, and I think we can make a big difference this year.
And obviously a big vote of confidence from the Walloon region where you're operating. Cameron Reynolds, CEO of Volition RX, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Nick.